Has everyone had a chance to review the minutes for August 4th, 2014 work session, August 7th, 2014 council meeting, August 8th through the 9th, 2014 retreat?
I did review the minutes. I didn't find any corrections.
I found just one little thing that I had talked to City Clerk Lisa Maxburn about one issue where one of the motions that was made to keep the millage rate at 4.75, it indicates that Councilman Barfield made that motion. I believe I made that motion, and I discussed that with Councilman Barfield, Lisa Maxburn before the meeting, and they agreed to that change.
I'll concur with that.
Any more questions or corrections? So we'll entertain a motion.
Make a motion that we approve the minutes with said corrections.
I have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Benjamin. Here's a second.
Second.
I have a second by Councilman Barfield. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, like sign. Motion carried. FY15 budget workshop. City Manager.
Mayor and Council, the budget season starts in about April when the Senior Finance Board distributes the budget worksheets to the department heads as well as myself for the admin portion. And we spend about the next 6 weeks reviewing the budget and putting down thoughts and figures from a preliminary standpoint for the following fiscal year. Our fiscal year is calendar. It runs from January to December. But the next step in that process is an admin budget is generated from all of the department head budgets after they submit them in. And that process runs through June and July to where then, when we're ready for a millage recommendation, we have the fiscal year, in this case 15 budget in hand from a preliminary standpoint, the draft one. That document is generated and it is issued to the public and to yourselves. We then have our millage rate public hearing and set the millage. Of course, you're aware that we, as was mentioned, kept the millage at 0.475, which is the lowest. As near as we can tell, it's been a long time. But we had our budget workshop one, and there were no substantive questions. There were a few that we talked about, but no significant changes that were requested to the budget as proposed. The budget has been available for inspection at the front office of City Hall, in addition in electronic form for any citizen who's requested it, and that has been transmitted on a couple of occasions. Budget Workshop 2 is typically held at the September work session, but in this case, Council saw fit to move the budget workshop to the council meeting, which is fine. Just gives you a time right now. If you see anything that needs to be changed or any questions that you have within the proposed budget, here again, one more time, to just talk about that. The way our code requires the process to work is a preliminary adoption has to take place before September 30 of any given calendar year. So the preliminary adoption is not formal adoption. The formal adoption takes place in October and has to occur before October 30 of any fiscal year, for any following fiscal year. So before the formal adoption can take place, we have to run an ad in the paper and again solicit public comment, just as we will tonight on the budget in its preliminary form. And there's another chance to go over the budget one more time. And that's not as to say there can't be mid-year corrections, and certainly as is custom, there are amendments that are done at the end of the year to make sure everything lines up and is in keeping with projections. So suffice it to say, just one more time to look at the budget. I'll entertain any questions you may have.
Does anyone have any questions?
Yeah, I have a question. Could you remind me in the proposed budget for fiscal year 2015, how much is allocated at this time for a updated salary study?
Okay, there is not any funds within the fiscal year 15 budget allocated specifically for salary study. However, there are funds that are allocated for consulting that are included throughout the budget. Typically, consulting funds are included for audit fees, but they don't have to be used exclusively for audit fees. You can also use it for any other consulting that may be there. So I guess as a long answer to your question, there would be sufficient funds within FY15 under consulting to be able to conduct that study.
So it's under a lump allocation sum for consulting and not necessarily specifically for the consulting for a salary study.
Right, right. And just as by the same token, there's similar funds in the FY14 budget that should council so choose and should that expenditure bill arrive at City Hall before the end of the year, it could be paid for under consulting funds within the FY14 budget as well.
That answers my question. Thank you.